Oh, I'm sorry. Welcome back to another edition of Money Mondays. And today I want to help you find your niche as an entrepreneur. And this is something that I'll be honest, I struggled for a long time to understand this and to accept this. And it's so much easier than you might think. I almost guarantee you that you've got a mental block around this. I would almost guarantee you that the thing that you think has been stopping you from finding your niche and really dialing in on that core audience that you want to serve, it's not what you think it is. At least it came to a surprise, or as a surprise to me. So please stick around to the end of this video if you want to know exactly how to nail down your niche quicker and easier than you ever thought possible. So let me start with this. The first thing you got to understand when it comes to picking a niche is understanding how we actually get paid as entrepreneurs. Now, first and foremost, we get paid for solving problems, right? The bigger the problem we solve, for the more people that we can solve it for, the more that we will then be paid. We are paid in proportion to the value that we provide to other people. That's our job. As entrepreneurs, as business owners, coaches, like whatever it is that we do, we are supposed to provide value in a way that is not currently being provided. So an underserved market, we provide value to other people. And when we do that, we get paid in exchange for providing that value. And our job is to figure out how can we provide more value so that people are readily willing to give us compensation in return for that at a rate that they believe is fair and equitable, and they feel like they're actually getting a deal for that, right? That's our whole job as entrepreneurs. So once we locate the problem and we figure out how we can solve it, the biggest thing that I see people get caught up is they end up commoditizing themselves. And when I say commodity, I mean that, for example, gold, right? This card is gold. Gold is a commodity. It's not real gold, but gold is a commodity, right? And if I have a bar of gold and you have a bar of gold, it doesn't really make a difference if we swap bars of gold. As long as they weigh the same amount, it's the same kind of gold, it's the same quality of gold, and it's the same amount of gold. It doesn't matter if it's your gold, my gold, if we can swap the gold, it doesn't matter. It's anybody's gold. It's all the same value, right? And a lot of people get caught in that trap. So for example, I used to do personal training. I still do actually personal training for entrepreneurs, busy young professionals, things of that nature. And a part of that business was, how can I separate myself enough? Because if all I'm going to do is provide information, I am a commodity. Because there's no shortage of fitness influencers, there's no shortage of workout videos for free on YouTube. So if all I'm doing is providing information, I can't be generic. Write this down. If you are generic, people will pay a little for information, right? They'll pay you a little for information, meaning what do I do? If all you're doing is teaching people something relatively generic, they're only gonna pay a little bit. They might pay $47, $27 a month, $19.99 a month, whatever it is. They'll pay you a little bit for the information. Now, if you are specialized, they will pay you more for implementation and curation. Let me say that again. If you are specialized, people will pay you more for implementation and curation. So for example, take my personal training business, supermanshred.com. I specifically work with executives, entrepreneurs, and young busy professionals. That's it. I don't work with females, nothing against that market. It's just that I'm a guy, I work out as a guy. I know how to do that, right? And so for me, that's my target market. That's my audience. I'm also an entrepreneur myself. I'm on the road half the year, every year, if not more. I understand the time demands of travel, of trying to build a business at the same time that you're trying to maintain and develop your health. So I just kind of get those people. And so because I'm more specialized in who I choose to work with, that means that they'll pay me a little bit more. They might pay $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 even, because I'm taking all this information, I'm curating it just for them, and I'm showing them how they can apply and implement it into their lives with the specific understanding of the constraints and limitations that come with the lifestyle that they live. So because it's more specialized, they will pay me more for implementation, not just the information, but the implementation of that information, okay? Now, next up is, what do we do to go to that next level? What do we do if we want to truly break into that next price bracket, like that different tax bracket, right? You want to start selling high ticket, 10, 20, 30,000. Well, how can we pull that off? You have to become one of a kind. All right, and I'm going to tell you something. It's easy to do that because each and every individual on the face of the earth is one of a kind. You just have to step into that and embrace that. All right, here's what I mean by that. People pay a little if you're generic for information. They'll pay you more for implementation if you're specialized. If you're one of a kind, they'll pay whatever it takes for access. I'll say that one more time. Write this down. They will pay whatever it takes for access, right? Of course, I work with Eric Thomas. He's one of those people that is one of a kind. You cannot find another human being on the planet that has the same mixture of qualities, experiences, passions, the voice he has. Like, you can't find another E.T., the hip hop preacher. Like, there's only one of them, right? And so because of that, he can charge whatever he wants for keynotes, for one-on-one coaching. Why? He's one of a kind. So people aren't even necessarily paying him for the information. They're not even necessarily paying him for the curation or the implementation. They're paying him for access to just be able to speak with him. They're paying for the access to sit in the room as he does what he does, because he has elevated to such a level where he is so held in such reverence for what he does. People just want to be in the room under any circumstances necessary, and people are willing to pay for masterminds, for coaching, for speaking, whatever it is. And if you can get to that place where you are truly one of a kind and nobody can do what you do the way that you do it, you will break into that next tier where you can truly sell high ticket. Now, you might be saying, okay, well, that's great for Eric Thomas because he was blessed with this voice and he had this crazy life experience and he's a gifted speaker, probably the best of our generation. So that might work for him, but what about me? Like, how am I supposed to take advantage of this? I'll tell you, the only way that you can truly decommoditize yourself and become unique and move from generic to specialized to one of a kind and move from a little bit of money to a little more money to that whatever it takes money, the only way you can do that is by being your true, authentic self. It's the only way. It's the only way to do it. Because here's why. It is not one quality that makes anybody one of a kind. It is not just the fact that Eric Thomas has a deep, bassy, gravelly voice that makes him the best speaker in the world. There's a lot of people out here that have a good voice that's just a God-given gift and they don't use it for anything, right? So it's not just the voice and the tone that he has with it. It's not just his life experience. There's a lot of people that went from homeless to creating phenomenal lives for themselves. They're not the number one motivational speaker in the world, so it can't be that. It isn't that he's a gifted communicator. He has a very good spiritual relationship, and he has a lot of deep philosophical ideas. There's plenty of philosophers and armchair spiritual teachers out here. Like, there's plenty of people that do that, so it can't be that. But the fact is, he has all of those qualities. He's got the voice, he's got the personality, he's got the smile, he's got the energy, he's got the communication gift. Like, he's got all of this. He's got the spiritual gift, he's got all of it. And when you have all of those things combined, that's what makes you one of a kind, right? Quick example again for the personal training business that I run. I'm not the only former elite gymnast that does training. I'm not the only motivational speaker and high performance coach that does physical training. But I am probably the only former elite gymnast who also used to run a personal training business throughout college. So I've been doing the training thing for a long time. I can mix it with my gymnastics and calisthenics experience, which is very unique and gives me techniques that not a lot of other people know. And I can motivate the mess out of you because I spend all day right next to the number one speaker in the world. And because I build businesses for a living and I'm an entrepreneur, I understand how these people think, how they operate, how to talk to them, how to connect with them, how to communicate with them. And I can give you a great experience because I know how to build the back end of a business seamlessly. You put all of those things together and all of a sudden I look like a perfect candidate if you're a busy professional, entrepreneur, or executive looking to take control of their health and fitness. Why? Not because of one thing, but because of the aggregate of all of those things. You can find a lot of other people in the world that have one or two of those qualities, but you're not going to find somebody that has that exact combination, that exact mixture. That's what makes you unique. That's what makes you one of a kind. And when you can decommoditize by just being your authentic self and putting all of you, you don't have to be anything else. Listen to me, you don't have to be anybody else. You don't have to pretend to be something that you're not. You don't have to craft some social media image. All you have to be is all of who you already are. because there is a unique set of experience and qualifications that you have that nobody will ever be able to replicate. But it requires a level of self-awareness for you to know what those are, know your strengths, know your limitations, know your experiences, and understand how you can weave them all together to create a truly one-of-a-kind experience for each and every client that you work with. So here's the exercise that I'm gonna leave you with. At the conclusion of this video, I would love for you to take massive action right now and just execute this thing. As soon as this video is off, I want you to write down the top 10 qualifications of your life. So whether it's your degrees, you have a certification in something, you have specialized training in something, you were an apprentice or had a mentor in a particular subject or topic or skill, I want you to write down the top 10 qualifications that you have as it relates. It doesn't even have to relate to a particular niche, just you in general. What are the top 10? And then I want you to also write down the top 10 experiences, things that you have lived out. Maybe you were a high school wrestling champion, or maybe you've been to 10 different countries and you have a gift for understanding how different cultures of the world work. Like, it could be literally anything, but I want to know what makes you unique, both from a practical resume standpoint and from a personal experience standpoint. And I would bet that if you do that, if you just take 10 minutes to write down those two lists of things and you just look at it for a few minutes, you're gonna see something just pop right out at you almost immediately. You're gonna say, okay, I've got this skill set, this experience. This all seems to come together and with a nice little bow on it. And it seems like this is the direction that it's pointing me in. I'm gonna give you one last tip before I leave you. Once you have those two lists, I want you to start thinking about, well, what could these be building towards? What direction could these unique things that make me me, that make me one of a kind, what direction is that pointing me in? And I want you to start rattling off ideas as fast as you can until you get to a point where you say, I might be the best in the world at that. And here's the way I want you to do it, by the way. I want you to start by saying, here's what I'm not the best in the world at. So for me, I went through this exercise and I have my list of 10 things, the experiences and the qualifications, and I said, okay, motivational speaker. I could be good at that based on all the things that I've been through and the things I've studied, psychology I've studied, I've been around different other speakers, been around so many different coaches, I have a passion for it. Okay, that could be something I'm really good at. All the evidence points in that direction. However, I think E.T. is the greatest speaker who's ever lived, and I don't think I have some of the unique qualities that make him so good. I think I could get maybe top 10, top 20, but I don't think I could be the best in the world at it. Let's see what else I could do. Business. Okay, I've got this experience, that experience. I've built businesses for other people. I've built businesses for myself. I've been exposed to 8-figure businesses and coaching businesses, specifically how they run, how they operate, the plays to run, exactly how this works, how that works. This could be a good play for me, but I don't know if I can compete with people that have 20 or 30 years in the game. So maybe I could be, again, top 10, top 20 in the world, but maybe not the best in the world. And then I said, well, what about personal training? What about coaching for entrepreneurs? People who want to take control of their health and fitness, but they have a certain lifestyle. Well, I could motivate them because of my speaking background. I could coach them because of my coaching background. I know how to build the business itself, and I know how to turn it into something profitable, and I know how to connect with these people, and the athletics background. You know what? Maybe I could be the best in the world at that. And when you get to that point where you begin to doubt yourself that you're not the best in the world at it, or that you could become the best in the world at it, that's when you know. That's the one where you figured out that's probably the niche that you should go after. And again, I'm not saying that you can't do multiple things and there's different ways that you can take it, but I think that that's a framework that for most people, when you really dial in and find your uniqueness, you know your strengths, you know your limitations, you know your unique qualifications, and you know your unique experiences, it makes you one of a kind. And you can start to experiment with it and say, you know what? I really think that this is something that I could be the best in the world at. Chase that. And if I were you, that is how I would find my niche as an entrepreneur. If you got value out of this video, please make sure that you share it with somebody else who can benefit from the information that we discuss. I would love to hear how you're going to use this, how you're going to execute on this information. So be sure to leave a comment below and let's start a conversation there about how we can move forward with this information as well. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you on the next episode of Money Mondays. Peace.